Kia ora everyone, and welcome to another episode of Against the Grain, a little project I'm putting together for the month of Movember, catching up with friends and family and just taking a chance to check in and maybe reduce the stigma around talking about mental health and well-being. If you haven't done so already, go and check out my Mo space. I'll leave a link in the description below. You can go along to there, see the progress of this beautiful Mo on my face, and donate if you're able to. Everything is appreciated. Today we have a special guest. Well, they're all special, but this guy I grew up with back in Sandgate Avenue of Auckland, New Zealand. He has moved to Melbourne not with me, but he is also here. He's moved all over the world. A football fanatic and an all-round great guy. Today we have Luke Adams.
Hey guys, how are you?
How you going, man?
Hey man, how you going? Yeah, good man, going well. Busy, just chilling out today. Got a good bit of time, so perfect time to do this, man.
That's really good. How about we start by, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So Luke, I'm 26, 27 nearly. Dad, I got two boys. Play soccer, nice intro there. Definitely, I play soccer. I coach soccer. I'm a PT as well, so I do a bit of coaching, fitness stuff. But yeah, generally busy now after all the lockdowns and stuff. So getting back to a COVID normal, I guess. Yeah.
Well, we're just chatting before we started. You've managed to find yourself some new work yourself. You're doing your own thing now, aren't you?
Yeah, so I started my little coaching business on the side. So I went from doing not much and looking after my kids and stuff during lockdown, and then sort of opened up a new opportunity for me. I was kind of going like, what do I want to do? I had a big injury last year, and now I'm fit, feeling good. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to start my own coaching business. I got a bit of buzz about it. I was like, I'm going to see where this goes. And then got another t-shirts on today, and I'm like, this is good. And then it's getting busier and busier. So I am happy as Larry at the moment. So it's going really well.
I think that's what a lot of people are going to be looking forward to, is just having that routine and having something to work towards again.
Oh, big time. Just having something to kind of use your energy to, instead of being locked down or kind of limited, obviously what we have been limited to with restrictions. So it's been nice, but it's a bit of nothing to boom. So I'm just managing my time, making sure I see my kids, and making sure the balance is still really good. Because as you probably know, when lockdown happened, you're probably a lot of people were working, and then went to nothing.
Yeah.
So, and they realized they were doing too much and weren't dedicating time to things they wanted to do and all these sort of things. So most people have had a bit of an outlook on what they want out of their life a little bit more. That's obviously me stereotyping everyone, but I think it's pretty important for everyone to kind of recognize.
Take a second to reassess. It was almost given to us forcefully.
100%.
With lockdown, which I was going to bring up. You mentioned that you had an injury last year, and that was through soccer playing. Were you playing or training, or what happened?
Yeah, so I was playing a game, and I was playing out of position actually, so I still blame the coach a little bit. And it was last sort of 5 minutes. I went to play a ball out wide, and then my knee twisted. I won't obviously stand up or anything so you can see what happened, but my knee twisted, did my ACL, ended up having surgery. So yeah, it was a bit of a long road back, and obviously my jobs are all physical, right? So
absolutely,
it laid me back a little bit, and mentally as well, because obviously it's something I love and something I like to do every day, and kind of get in that mind frame, or coaching and stuff. But when you're coaching just sitting down or on crutches, or you can't move, you can't show someone or demonstrate, or it was difficult,
And how did that? How did you take that? Because obviously not being able to physically do it, it's not I've just got to run a bit slower or something. You were quite. I came and visited you a couple of times. It was no movement at all, was it?
Yeah, it was crazy. not even in terms of not like coaching in terms of general, like obviously I have my kids still.
Right.
So I'm not with my ex-partner. So that gives you a bit of context in terms of when I had my kids, I was still on crutches and little kids. And so it was a bit of a nightmare in life generally. Like when I struggled a little bit generally, like just getting around and obviously my family's back in New Zealand. So that's, it was good. It was tough, but it just made me stronger. You kind of get through those tough times. Like I had spoke to other mates that I had close to me that kind of got me through that period, because it was a sort of tough time in my life. Generally split up with my ex-partner, got injured, all these sort of things happened to me, and then COVID started. So it was a crazy year. So that's why I'm beaming now, because I've come through it and really, really happy now that I've got something that I want to work towards and I feel good about.
Absolutely.
It's been really nice.
And
Yeah.
did you feel that you had that support through friends and family, even if they were back home and stuff, that, I guess I'm asking, do you feel comfortable saying, oh man, like, today's real rough kind of thing, or is it a bit trickier to bring that into a conversation, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a good point in bringing up, because at the start when I was injured, or like little things like, no, not so much. And before I had kids, no way. Like, because growing up, I was more like, me, like I was growing up, like I was doing well in things, like I was always doing well, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So when things got tough, I called it sort of like internalized things when I was a little bit younger, which is not what you should do, right? That's why, when awareness, perfect sort of conversation sort of things we're having now is like, you need to express to your people that you're close to you, your friends, family, whoever it is, conversation and just talking about things that you're struggling with, or
for sure.
In general, are really key to just breaking that barrier, making you feel okay about it, or different opinions. It might not be as crazy in your head as you think, when people calm it down or look at it from the outside,
Definitely. I think when people look at it from the outside, and I do this all the time, is you go, I don't want to bother so-and-so with this problem because they've probably got something going on, or they won't want to be bothered with this. And I think every time I've reached out to someone, they've gone, what's up? Let's go talk, or, it straight away they'll talk about it.
Yeah, I think it's like 100%, because that's what your mates are for, right? If your mates are not going to be there in the tough times, they're not mates, are they? That's what you sort of learn as well. Like if they're not going to, there's people you work with, or there's acquaintances everywhere, of course, and you wouldn't talk to those people unless you've got but then they become your friend if you talk more about that sort of stuff, I would say. Yeah. But those people that you're close to, like that's what we're all here for, right? We're all here to help each other. We've all go through tough times. We all go through time, especially everyone knows that now more than ever, whether that's tough times of you're not allowed to leave your house, or, you can't catch up with the people that you catch up with in, basic sort of terms. But now it's like people know that they need each other, instead of, it's all like me, especially. It's all about me, like me. Like I'm doing this. No, like there's other people that you care about, and you got to bring them in,
Yes. I was going to ask, and I've wondered this for on and off for years. Do you think it has something to do with the sports aspect as well? Is as an athlete, you've got to be at the top of your game all the time?
Yeah, I think it's, I think you can separate it. So like now that I've sort of learned, like, I think the discussions you can have those discussions because it'll make you perform better anyway. It's just more, I think there was, I think it's getting better, more of a stigma around like if you're the best, you shouldn't have any flaws. Like it's kind of like that sort of like, you shouldn't have, I'm a bit like, dark about this, or I don't want to express this, or whatever the feeling is.
Even I just had a shitty day, and I feel
exactly
like that.
Yeah, like obviously we're talking like level, obviously where I am, not obviously in terms of really high, but you've got players that are playing English Premier League, for example, and they're struggling. Yeah. But people like they have, not everybody, most people think that they're okay because they're getting paid a lot of money and this and that, but it's not how it works, right?
No.
We've all had no money before and we've all had some money. It doesn't make you feel any better of how much money you are or where you are in stature.
Absolutely.
It's more about how you feel, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to like have those conversations which are like priceless, like, but they mean so much to people, right? So I think it's really important.
And so, like I said before, you play soccer, football, whatever you want to call it.
I have to call it soccer here, mate, in Australia.
Do you think the team is there for you off the field as well? I guess it depends who you're playing with or at what level, but that team aspect, does it carry on outside the game?
Yeah, well, that's what teams try to create a little bit more, because obviously with a team, it's like a team at work, right? Everyone's got different personalities, everyone's got different strengths, weaknesses in terms of like their personal behavior, how to deal with things quickly or get on with things or hold on to grudges or whatever the scenario is. The teams always, like, if you build that culture around it, like you get people who are, you do things outside, or because when it's a higher level, like you're kind of going into train to get a performance-based outcome, right? So like we're going to win the game. Like that's the most important thing, but you have to build a sort of foundation around like, okay, but everybody's got to be okay with it, because you can win things and people hated the year. Like it was terrible. Yeah. The environment was terrible. Like you just go in, coach just screams in your face and you guys win because you're good players or your team's good. But you have to balance that feeling in sport. Like you have to love it and be a part of something. And then I'd say pretty much I'd rather be a part of something amazing where everyone can talk to each other about anything. Mate, I'm having a bad day with my kids, or I'm having fucking anything. I talk to them about anything. And then that outcome feels so much better when we get a performance-based outcome instead of, we won, but it means nothing. Like it has no deep lying feeling to it. It's just
and I guess that you know when you compare it to, it's just like a workplace, that does make sense. You know, you might get all the sales in a year, or performing in a production. The show might be amazing, but if you go backstage and you don't want to look anyone in the eye, it's not really worth it. Yeah,
you want to like as corny as it sounds, you want like, oh, big high fives, or man, come here, that was awesome, big cuddle, or anything, like whatever makes you feel good, whatever you guys do, or anything, let's all go out for drinks or whatever it is. Like you want that aspect of it, because that's like you've done something together. Yeah. Like, you know, man, you're like, when you were doing your, you know, you do your improv and stuff, like you'd probably get the similar sort of feeling, right? You guys are working as a team up there, like on stage, and
absolutely,
you guys are killing it, you know? So when I came to watch you, it sort of had that feeling towards it as well, which I related to, obviously wasn't a part of, but I could see that. I could see that was a part of it, you know?
For sure. And I guess that's what we strive to do as well, is if we are on the same page, if we're clicking, if we're, you don't necessarily have to be best buddies with everyone.
Of course.
But you
100%.
You respect everyone on the stage with you, and you're all there to give a great performance, and you all want to give a great performance. And you're all checking in with each other, you'll trust each other on the stage. That's when it becomes easy as anything. And I imagine a lot, of course,
exactly the same.
Of course, there's skill involved in sports and theatre and stuff like that. But I think if you had a team that you trust your teammates, you know you're all there for each other, then passing the ball just becomes that split second easier of going, yep, I'm going to go that way. Or
yeah, exactly. It's more, you're on the same wavelength, and you've got that foundation already. Like, I feel good here. I'm confident in what I'm doing. I'm ready to go. Like, now it's performance-based, not, oh, like, he shouts at me every time I don't give him the ball. And it becomes a bit of like, you know, if you're scared to do something on the field, the chemistry is not great. Like, the communication something's gone along the way. Like, you haven't addressed it with that person, so that you haven't had that conversation, or you haven't had that coaching or that togetherness that you should have had. Or obviously you can learn, everyone makes mistakes and everyone will get a little bit angry, of course, especially in sport when your heart rate's high as, and you're like testosterone's like like going crazy. Like everyone shouts at everyone. Like me, I'm a prime example. I don't see it right now, but when I'm playing, I do. And then you just talk about it after fair, like how can we stop that situation from happening? But that's the thing beforehand when everything calms down, right?
Yeah.
In your brain and everything.
And so in yourself, you're moving into coaching as well. You have done it for a while, but you're doing some personal ones at the moment as well. Do you push that in your coaching, communication between you and whoever you're coaching, and if it's a team you're coaching and so on?
Yeah, well, I think that's the most important thing at the end of the day. Like that's what you kind of learn that's what I learned when I got injured to go into coaching. Obviously I couldn't physically do stuff. So obviously there's terms of you actually physically show someone how to do something, or you talk them through it, right? So it's a skill to learn as well. Like you've got to, try your body this way. You've got to learn to speak through those like barriers. So 100% when you're coaching, like you show someone, but not everyone's visual learner, right? They might hear things and understand it. They might do it themselves and doing it themselves instead of you being shown or whatever. So you kind of talk them through, let them do it a few times and muck it up. Or I always get them to speak to me if they don't like something I'm doing, and I always am really open about that because I don't want them to come to a session where they feel like, one, they have to be there. Like they don't. Like if you're not enjoying it, don't come. Like I'm not, do you know what I mean? Like it's not something, I'm not trying to make money off people or try hold on to people. I'm someone who, if you're getting value out of it, you should be able to tell me you're getting value out of it or tell me you're not. You have to build that relationship out of that, I think.
And I guess that's, it would be good for you as a growing coach as well to improve yourself. I imagine you're open to self-improvement, and it's nice to hear that you put that out there, because I think as soon as that barrier is out of the way, it doesn't have to be a nasty conversation of, oh my God, don't train with Luke because he does X, Y, Z. If they came to you and said, hey, not really feeling X, Y, Z for me personally, you might go, all right, let's adapt. Let's change it up.
100%. Like if you take your own, like, I think that's with age too. And obviously your personality as well. Like if you're like, when you're, like I said, we're talking about like me, you can sort of take that into coaching. Like, that works. I know that works for me. Like but like you said, it doesn't work for everyone. So everyone's slightly different in the way you instruct, or you kind of gauge when you start talking to them. You're like, okay, they don't respond to that. Like after a while, if you've coached them for a while, or, pretty quickly after experience, you're like, I need to stop shouting at him. Like, I need to give that person more information, or, you read your people and the outcome's normally the way to read that.
And it probably crosses over nicely, just to round it back to a theme here, is I guess we all can deal with our mental problems in different ways. I'm a very talkative person. I can talk to a bloody brick wall for 10 minutes and but
I know, mate.
But sometimes it's assumed, or maybe it's my own mind thinking, people assuming it, that, oh well, if he's got a problem, he'll talk about it because he's so vocal, he's so but sometimes it's like, actually no, I'd rather maybe distract myself or something, depending on what it is. I think everyone has their own way of dealing with it. I used to talk to a mate about it, and we would always send a text if a problem was arising. We'd say, do you want me to distract or discuss? And sometimes it'd be like, you know what, let's just go play some pool and not even talk, like, not to bury it away. But just like,
park it for later sort of thing.
I just don't want to deal with it right now. And sometimes that's the better option. Or vice versa. If I said, hey man, I really need to talk about this, it'll be like, all right, let's not have beers. Let's not, go to somewhere noisy. Let's just have a chat about it.
Let's do it. Yeah, exactly.
Talk it through.
Yeah. Oh, big time. Yeah. I think it's a great point. Like, and when I got injured and split up with my ex and stuff like this, these things happen. Like I was like, if you're watching like this video, obviously I'm talking a lot, right? Because I'm passionate about my coaching and stuff like that. But in general, like I'm not someone who goes, I'm Luke. Like I'm not that sort of person. Like I'm quite reserved. Like unless I know you, and really comfortable with you, I'm quite quiet. Like kind of speak when you're spoken to sort of person.
Right.
Which is not out of fear. It's just I don't like to talk that much, right? So I'm sort of similar. Like I used to find it really hard to talk about my problems, big time. But then you'd internalize it, it drag on. So it'd affect your life for way longer. Like it'd sort of, like you'd have goals and aspirations, but that big problem would make that drag like take longer than it should. So I should be here, or I feel like I should be here. Obviously your perception of yourself.
Yeah.
But if you have an underlying problem, that used to take a lot longer for me. So I used to be like, oh, like, and it took me years, ages to figure this out. And obviously those big things that happened sort of earlier in my life, earlier in this year, kind of made me realize that I'm sort of holding on to things for a long period of time instead of having that conversation. Like, I know that's cliche, having that conversation sounds cliche now, but because everyone's talking about it, but it's literally the key to breaking down and making that speed up and get over and address it. And, what can we do to fix it? Obviously not quick fixes, depending what it is, right?
I definitely think that's the big word there, is just addressing it. Because sometimes, I consider myself to have a very lucky life. A lot of things have gone right. But again, like you said, even the big football players everything's not always clicking together, but some things, it's not about getting over it. I don't think some things take a lot longer, years, months, days, whatever. But I think addressing it is the important thing, and addressing it with someone you're comfortable bringing it up with.
Big time.
Big time. I mean, you don't have to go into details or anything, but do you think with those, let's say, darker times, you said it stopped you from doing things. Do you think it was, even I've found it this year, is some days you wake up and you're just like, I should go to the gym. I should. And then it's midday. I really should go for a walk today. And then it's 5 o'clock and then you're back in bed. And quickly, very quickly, that can turn into a week. And it's quite scary thinking, oh God, okay, no, I really need, and I've been able to go, okay, I'm going to start running again, or I'm going to try, go for a walk or something. But do you think by not being able to, was it not being able to have people to talk to, or was it more yourself thinking, I shouldn't bring this up, that was stopping you?
Yeah, I think, no, it wasn't really the fact of, like I didn't have anyone to talk to. It was more a bit of pride with it. So like I kind of broke that. Like I spoke about it when I was younger. Like we talked about sporting and stuff. Like not pride. I think pride's the wrong word. Like kind of, no, I can get through this by myself, sort of thing. Like I'm strong enough. Like I know I'm sort of like that sort of mindset, which is fine, but I've never really had big things like that happen to me before. Yeah. Right. So I'm talking, obviously that was a new normal big thing for me. Right. So before there were big things to me back then, but they weren't really big things in my life. Right. Big consequences sort of thing. Now
at the time, if it seems big, it's still a deal. I think
big time.
If it's a big deal to you, it's a big deal.
Yeah. 100%. So I think, I had people to speak to. I just sort of would internalize, or I'm always quite through. Yeah, I'm always quite not harsh on myself generally. Like for the example of, I haven't been to the gym today sort of thing. I'm pretty harsh on myself. Like I'd be like, I'm using that as an example, right? Other things I'm talking about, study's one for me. Like I didn't study today. Didn't go to the gym. That's just an example. So we use study, right? I didn't study today, but I'd be like, in that period of I wasn't speaking to anyone, I'd just be like so blasé about stuff. I'd just be like, like I'll do it tomorrow. Same sort of thing. But when I started to slowly get past it, I was like, no, like, you're lazy, lazy.
Yeah.
I won't swear, but like I'm doing it. I have to do it at 9 o'clock when I should have the extra hour sleep. I'm going to do it now.
Yeah.
Like I'd be a bit more harsh on myself because to get an outcome. And that's what I mean about once I addressed my issues and obviously still getting over them, of course, still working towards that, always feeling good, but there's always going to be some issues in your life. But to sort of address them early and talk about it or deal with it or have it, like you said, address it, discuss, like, or distract, like you said, whether it will pass with a bit of doing something or it won't,
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned, again, might not be the right word, but I think pride sits right in some aspects. And I just had a thought when you were talking there is we moved to Melbourne, Brady and I, about three and a half years ago, probably coming up, 3.5 years ago now.
Yeah, crazy.
You are in a similar situation that you've moved to Melbourne, you've moved over to, was it Sweden?
Yeah.
With football, you have bounced around the place as well. And I'll let you talk about that in a bit, but I just found that, like you said, all our family is back home.
Yeah.
And when something was not sitting right or it was a really bad week or something, I think it was the pride being like, well, we decided to move over here, so we can't say we're struggling. Not that we're struggling.
No, exactly, 100%. Yeah, but little things are big things, aren't they? Over time.
Yeah, 100%, and I found 100%. I found it very hard to say to people back home, it wasn't a good week, because then I thought, well, then they're going to think, well, they decided to move over there and now they're struggling.
They shouldn't have gone.
They shouldn't have gone. They were fine here, and it's no one. Of course, no one's going to think that, but that weighed heavy on us for a bit. Or I say us because as a coping mechanism, it weighed heavy on me for a bit.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Because it was like, well, I can't complain because I've moved over here. I've said I've got a great job. I've said I've got a great apartment. Why would I complain about it and paint a picture that it's not all perfect? But the thing is that things aren't always perfect.
No, exactly. 100%. Bang on. And we've all been there. Like, even when you, obviously you've said it, but even when you say things out loud, you're like, that's a bit silly. Everyone has tough times wherever they move. If they live in Bali, they have there's things, they don't have I don't know, just an example. Like the weather's always not great. The weather's not great today. Like, what? You're in Bali? Like, why'd you move there? Like, that's a silly example. That should brighten it up. But 100%, wherever you move, whatever you're doing, there's going to be a little bit of a tough time, for everyone.
I guess my question leading from that is, how did you, I guess, feel or deal with, you've been around a couple of places around the world, England, Sweden, Melbourne. Did that weigh on you? Was it tough?
Yeah, big time. Like, I've my life so far, I've sort of obviously done really well. And then I moved to England. Like, I grew up, had a great family, great, with neighbours. We grew up together, had a great sort of childhood.
I think your neighbours were the best people in the world, I think.
Dale was all right. And then I moved to England at a young age, where I was 16, nearly 17 sort of thing. And then things, you sort of have to grow up fast. Like, I know that's kind of a throwaway statement. People go, you have to grow up fast. And it's just like, oh, you grow up fast, bang. You obviously don't grow up fast, bang, right? No.
And I think just to jump in, you were moving by yourself, weren't you?
Yeah. So I moved by myself. So I got a scholarship over there. And that meant leave school, move away from my family. I moved to England, the other side of the world, to play. So, and it wasn't a case of I was a 3-hour flight away if I had a weekend off. It was, I was going for a year until I could come back when my season finished, right? So it was a big move. That's talking about obviously when I was younger, and things, you kind of the growing up quick comment that I said before, you kind of have to rely on yourself. Like,
Yeah.
but relying on yourself is not always the best thing, as we were speaking about, because you need people around you. But when you're young and you've had things go for you, you're like, nah, like that mentality I had for years. Like I only said, I just sort of got out of that being like, no, like I can do this myself. Like I can do this. Like like I can fucking do this kind of mentality, which is wrong. Like it's not in like a little spurts, it's really good. Like I can do this in a goal orientated thing, right? But if it's like mental health, wrong. Like you kind of address it, talk to people more experienced, doesn't matter if they're younger than you, older than you, have they had that experience, even someone to talk to who's going through the same thing is really important. So yeah, moving to different places, new people like you'd experience, you're going to meet new people, new friends. But I kind of knew what I was going for. It was more
right. You had a direction.
I had a direction I was going for. I wasn't really looking for a new life in that place. I was looking for an opportunity. So it wasn't like I was like, oh, I've got to make friends. I've got to get into a workplace and, you know, go out for drinks and meet people. It was more, no, I'm here to get a contract. I'm this way driven. Like I don't care who these people are. But
and
now,
do you think having that focus helped get you through being so far away from everyone?
Yeah, big time. So the more time for distract. So that was a distraction for me. Yeah. So in a good way, because I wanted that goal, right?
Yes.
And I was speaking to people. So when I was younger and I've sort of built that around me, like that's my mechanism is obviously speaking to people if I need to, but I sort of get on with what I'm getting on with until I need to, which is some people like, some people don't. My mum's like, why have you called me? You know what I mean? Like, depends on who it is, right? Like I'm coping really well. But some people some people need that constant support. I don't feel like I do, but I also don't ask for help enough, right? So I'm one of those people who's always like, nah, I can do this until I realize I need help, right?
And so it's interesting you say that, that are you aware that you don't ask when you need to?
Yeah, well, yeah, only up until recently or when things become a little bit bigger of a problem, which is something I need to work on. And I know that, like everything, because I don't speak about things and like my mental health a lot, I'm working on a lot, even emotionally, because I'm quite like, you wouldn't know, if you met me, you wouldn't know me emotionally. Do you know what I mean? Like, which is most people.
For sure.
Some people are really emotive. Like the way they talk, you know exactly how they're feeling. I'm quite, my tone's similar all the time. Like I talk, you know what I mean? People wouldn't realize if I'm down or not on that certain day, unless I spoke to them about it, was comfortable with them. So and address it and have noticed it in myself.
Right.
So once I've done that, I'm pretty good. I normally go to my, you know, my group that I speak to, or my, you know, my tight knit group, whether that's mum, dad, friends, anyone, whoever it is. And then, but my kids sort of help me in that distraction sort of part too. Like if I've had a bad day, like I go pick my kids up and I'm like, is it really that bad? Or you put things into perspective, right? You're like Walt's jumping on you or Mars, and they're just like, and I'm like, this is awesome. Like, it's not that bad. Like, let's narrow this down. What's the problem? Like, you're kind of calmer about it. But when you haven't got that distraction, you're always thinking about it. You're like, oh, like what's going on here? You know, and you probably have that yourself. Like when you're always thinking about something, you're always,
and definitely this year when you're sitting at home all year, and I guess with the injury as well, is you're left with yourself to go, well, actually, hold on, what if I think about it from this angle or this angle, and it can build. But no, it's great because, like you said, your two kids, what are they now? 4 and
nearly 4 and 2 now.
4 and 2. Wow,
crazy. Yeah, I know, little rascals. So
but
they're
that's great that they're full of energy, like and the way like I've seen you with them, you're absolutely great with them as well. Is there a nice reminder that we can just have fun with things?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'm quite a serious person when it comes to, because I like to be serious. Like, it's not something I hate. Otherwise, I'd be like going crazy, right? I love being serious. Like, I'm into my training. I'm into I'm into stuff that I'm into, and I'm quite serious about it. Like, if people are like, oh, look, he does this. No, I'm serious about it. Like, I'm pretty, like, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when it comes to your kids and having fun and taking a step back from things, you go like, I'm doing pretty well. Like, or I'm doing pretty well, and my kids are good, and like, I feel really good in what I'm doing, and like and the kids are growing up well, and I feel great. So it's really nice reminder, like you said, big time. Yeah,
absolutely. And I guess they're still probably a bit too young to be having proper conversations with. But do you think you'll push that, or just, I guess it comes back to the coaching thing, is making sure they know that if they want to talk about something, they absolutely can.
Yeah, it's building that relationship, but also like a platform, as a word, like to kind of like always have that, like, I'm always here for them kind of thing. Like, I know it's, you don't want to, like, if you're like, tell me how you're feeling, like, you know, we've all been in relationships like that, or things like, tell me what you're feeling. Like, no, leave me alone. Like, you automatically, some people go, me, for example, goes, no, like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, leave me alone.
Right.
Like, I need time, whatever. But some people, like kids, they normally tell you at a young age, but when they get older, they wouldn't, right? They'd internalize things a little bit more, like we do. So as long as they're always comfortable, and, you know, I'm speaking about my, not problems, but my issues, having that relationship with them and talking to them about it, I think will give them a platform to speak back. Like, oh, like, son, I've had a tough day today. Like, do you mind if we just get pizza and watch a movie, for example? Like, instead of me cooking dinner, and, you know, always having that sort of, whether it's in an action or just talking to them how I'm feeling all the time as well. We'll let them do the same.
Yeah, I think I agree as well, is that it's about being like, it doesn't matter if it's just a rough day. Just let us know, because otherwise then you know, and I'm sure it's going to happen, and I'm sure it's going to happen when I have kids as well. There'll be arguments, there'll be slammed doors, there'll be tantrums and stuff like that.
Plenty. Yeah,
something I can look forward to, right?
Come and live with me for a week. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I'm joking.
But just the fact to be like, look, Dad, I've had a rough day. I don't even want to talk about it, you know, and just like, okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah.
The thing with kids when they're younger, like, that's, you know, something that all parents learn, and a lot of God or whatever, like, people, like, the thing with kids is they don't tell you as well.
Right.
So, like, they don't, like, you normally, because you know your kids, right? You can tell whether they've had a bad day or a good day generally. Like, but when they get older, they'll be able to, like, hide it a little bit more. So it's more, you know, you've got friends that you wouldn't be able to tell, or you're like, oh, he's a bit snappy, like, what's going on there? Hope he's okay, like, kind of thing. But like, when you've got kids, you're like, oh, he's having a rough day. Like, and you kind of, I always try to, little things, like, I put my phone away, like, coaching can wait, like, I'm sitting down, or make time for them, sit down with them on the floor, like, read, how is your day? Like, as crazy as, if you do that repetitively though, you're building that foundation, like, not just when they've had a rough day, sit with them. Like, you're doing it all the time. So like, I've got pick them up from school, 3 hours, boom, blocked out in the diary, as you call it, bang, phone away, bang, I'm with the kids, like, till they go to bed, with them, great. Talking to them. I think that's really important to, you know, for people who are new parents, or it's hard because it's all about you until you have kids. And like, it's all about my goals. I want to get this much wage in my job, or I want to get fitter, or I want to get stronger, or whatever the scenario is. It's all about you. But when that gets taken away from you, you either have to make time to do those things, or you sacrifice those a little bit because you want to, well, I want to spend more time with my kids. Some people don't. You know, some people get a nanny or whatever. But I don't want that. I want to spend that time with my kids. I want that time to be quality with them, and, you know, make sure I'm being a good dad to them. That's, that's really important to me,
Absolutely. And that's great as well. I guess with this year as well, do they know what's going on, or are they just, dad's home a lot more, because you can't go out to any cafes or parks or anything. Have they noticed what's going on, or is this just a great year that they've spent with you?
Yeah, well, well, hopefully the latter, if they could tell you in years to come.
Yeah.
But, it's tough. It was tough as a parent, as for them as well. Like, like when lockdown was fully locked down, like playgrounds are closed and cafe and shopping centers were closed, and it was raining outside, for example. Like, you just have to be creative,
right?
Which is not one of my strengths, right? But you kind of, like, I'm not, like I said, very serious, like things by the book. So you got to kind of think outside the box as a parent. Let's do painting today. Let's like get some sand, let's draw, let's like whatever. Do heaps of different kinds of things. I got my cones out, like silly things, just to get them excited about not going to the park. Or like, you have to be really, like, it's tough. Like, if you're not that way inclined as well, if you're not like Ronald McDonald, like, bah, like you're the best, like do you know what I mean? You're like, everyone loves you sort of thing in that way.
And it must be exhausting as well.
But it's not though. Like, like it's, you just, like, it's awesome. Like when you do those things and you set that time aside, like, it's tiring, and it can get much on every different day, right? It's kind of like, I can't be bothered today. Like, everyone has that. Like, everyone's like, oh, this is tough. But then, like, you just think of it as a job. Like, you don't want to go to work, but you do, right? Some days you think like that. I mean, some days I don't want to go to work, but I don't want to because I'm getting my money. But with your kids, you're like, I don't want my kids today. Like, as ridiculous as that sounds, you'll say that as a parent lots of times, like, I want a break. Like, I want a little break, right? But then you're like, no, like, think of it as work. Like, I have to do this. But then once you start,
of course,
like, you're into it anyway, aren't you? Like, you're into your job anyway. It's more that click and just be like, no, this is awesome.
Yeah.
What was I complaining about? Like, do you know what I mean? You kind of get that good feeling that you always get. So,
absolutely. I think one of the best things I saw this year was it Walt's 6-week training program, where he
that was inventive. That was creative. That was good.
Little 3-year-old was putting you through the drills and throwing you the ball.
I was so cooked. Because I was just starting to get back fit, right? Because I could just start to running back then, and Mars was asleep, and this is when daycare was closed, and my ex had a big surgery, and she was out for a while, so I had the kids full time for 6 weeks. That was crazy. No daycare, nothing, and obviously I don't have my parents here or anything like that, so it was pretty full on time. 6 weeks of dad time, like hard dad time. So I was like, I'm gonna have to stay fit, otherwise I'm gonna get fat. And obviously my job's fitness related, right? So it's not like I could just put a few kilos and lose them after. I wouldn't be able to run, right? So I was like, I'm gonna have to just figure something out here. Like, and then I was like, no, we'll get Walt involved. And he loved it. Like, it was really cool to see, and kind of like, again, step back and go, like, sacrifice me for him. Yeah. But then it ended up working for us both, and we bonded a little bit, and ended up being quite funny. I'd be like, come out and help me. He's like, where's your watch, Daddy? Watch, like timing me and stuff. Like, it was super, super cute. And then we both had a bit of fun with it. So it was pretty good. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, I think that's a great note to end on there. Thanks for watching, and thank you for taking the time to talk and catch up.
Of course, mate.
It's always great.
Of course, pleasure, mate. Great for a good cause, mate. For a good course.
Absolutely. Like I said, I'll leave the link in the description below for my Mo space. Head over there if you want, and any donations are greatly appreciated. I guess I'll do a cheeky plug for you as well. What is it on Instagram? Coach Luke A.
Yeah, love it. Thanks, mate.
Go on, show off the new t-shirt.
Yeah, so these are the coaching ones. If you go on my Insta, you'll see the playing ones are a little bit different.
Absolutely fantastic. All right, mate. Well, stay safe, and we'll catch you later.
Yeah, legend, man. Cheers.